In the pursuit of personal growth and spiritual evolution, one of the most transformative yet often overlooked concepts is the idea of emotional surrender. You might have heard of manifesting dreams, quantum leaps, or shifting realities, but have you ever wondered what stands in the way of truly experiencing these changes in your life? It is easy to believe that we simply need to want it enough or work harder, but the truth is far deeper and more profound. The breakthrough you are seeking, the transformation that could radically shift your reality, is waiting for you right behind emotional surrender. We live in a world that constantly demands more of us, more effort, more action, more achievement. The voices around us, from societal expectations to family pressures, tell us that in order to succeed, we need to control, push, and manipulate circumstances. But what if I told you that all the resistance you are feeling, all the frustration and internal struggle, are actually the things keeping you stuck? What if I told you that the key to unlocking your highest potential is not found in the hustle, but in the ability to let go, to surrender your emotions, and trust in the natural flow of the universe? When we are taught to constantly control our environment, we unknowingly create an inner battlefield. The mind wants to dictate every outcome, while the heart knows that surrender and acceptance are the true paths to inner peace and external success. This tension between the mind's need for control and the heart's desire for trust and flow is the root of emotional resistance. And it is emotional resistance that creates the blockages preventing us from experiencing the breakthrough we so deeply desire. At the core of this resistance is fear, the fear of the unknown, fear of vulnerability, fear of losing control. This fear can be sneaky, manifesting as worry, self-doubt, or the belief that things will not work out. It is easy to get caught up in the cycle of thinking, I will be happy when I achieve X, or I will feel successful once I get there. But this mindset keeps us trapped in a state of perpetual striving, never fully experiencing the present moment, and never truly embodying the abundant reality that is available to us right now. The ego, which is that part of us that seeks to protect and defend, often reacts with resistance whenever we approach a situation that challenges our sense of identity. If we are holding on tightly to the belief that we must control every outcome, then surrendering, truly letting go, feels like a threat to our survival. The ego tells us, if I let go, I will lose everything. I will be vulnerable. I will be powerless. Yet, this is the lie we must break free from if we are to experience the profound breakthroughs that lie beyond emotional surrender. Imagine holding onto a balloon and pushing it underwater. No matter how hard you try to keep it down, the balloon keeps popping back to the surface. This is what emotional resistance looks like in our lives. We spend so much energy trying to suppress, control, or avoid our emotions, but the more we resist, the stronger the emotions become. They will find a way to surface, whether through stress, anxiety, or physical illness. Emotional surrender is the opposite. It is the act of letting go of control and allowing the emotions to flow naturally without judgment, without suppression, and without fear. By resisting our emotions, we actually create more chaos in our lives. It is like building a dam to stop a river, only for the water to keep rising, eventually flooding everything around us. But when we surrender, when we allow our emotions to move freely through us, we create a clear channel for the flow of energy, and in that space, transformation begins. Emotional surrender does not mean suppressing your feelings or resigning yourself to helplessness. Rather, it means releasing the grip of the mind and ego, allowing your emotions to express themselves fully, and trusting that in doing so, you will align with your highest truth. When you begin to let go of control and release your attachment to certain outcomes, something beautiful happens. You create space for your soul to expand. The moment you stop fighting against your emotions, you begin to open up to a deeper, more authentic connection with yourself and with the universe. This space is where manifestation begins, where you can align your energy with your desires, and where the power of quantum creation truly comes alive. The act of emotional surrender is not a passive one. It is a courageous decision to trust the unknown, to step into uncertainty without clinging to past beliefs or future fears. It is a conscious choice to embrace vulnerability, to allow yourself to feel deeply, and to release the weight of carrying around unprocessed emotions. Surrender is a radical act of self-love and self-trust. It is a deep knowing that the universe has a plan for you, one that is far grander and more expansive than anything your limited mind can conceive. Think about a time in your life when you experienced true surrender. Maybe it was during a moment of intense grief, when you allowed yourself to fully feel the pain and loss, only to find that afterward, You felt lighter, freer, and more open to love. Or perhaps it was during a period of uncertainty, where you let go of the need to control every detail, and, as a result, you were guided to exactly where you needed to be. This is the magic of surrender, the ability to let go of your fears, to release your grip on the wheel, and to trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The truth is, we are not meant to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We are not meant to control every aspect of our reality. The universe, or whatever higher power you resonate with, is always guiding us, always leading us toward our highest good. But in order to truly receive this guidance, we must first make room for it by surrendering our need to control. When we let go of the reins, we allow the divine flow of life to carry us to places we could never have imagined on our own. You might be wondering, how do I even begin to surrender? It starts with awareness. Becoming aware of the emotions you are resisting is the first step toward healing. Whether it is fear, sadness, anger, or frustration, these emotions are not to be feared, but to be acknowledged. Begin by sitting with them, feeling them in your body without judgment, and allowing them to pass through you. You do not have to analyze them or change them. Simply give yourself permission to feel without needing to control the outcome. Meditation and mindfulness practices are powerful tools for cultivating emotional surrender. By sitting in stillness and focusing on your breath, you can begin to create the space needed for emotional release. You might find that as you breathe deeply, emotions will naturally arise. Instead of pushing them away, allow them to come up, feel them fully, and then let them go. With each breath, you are surrendering a little bit more of your resistance, allowing your energy to shift and realign with your highest self. Remember, emotional surrender is not a one-time event. It is a continuous practice. It is a choice you make every day to let go of the need to control, to trust in the unknown, and to allow yourself to be guided by your inner wisdom. The more you practice, the easier it becomes to live in a state of surrender, where you can move through life with grace, ease, and a deep sense of inner peace. As you begin to surrender, you will notice subtle shifts in your reality. Things that once felt heavy will start to feel lighter. You may find that you are no longer as attached to certain outcomes or people. You may even begin to see signs of your manifestations coming to fruition, not because you tried harder, but because you released the resistance that was blocking the flow of abundance. The truth is, your breakthrough was always there, waiting for you to step into it. All it required was the courage to let go. By surrendering emotionally, you are aligning with the natural rhythm of life. And in doing so, you are unlocking your true potential. The universe is always ready to co-create with you, but only when you open yourself to its flow. So the next time you feel stuck or overwhelmed, remember, your breakthrough is waiting for you right behind emotional surrender. Let go, trust the process, and watch as your reality shifts in ways you never thought possible. When we consider emotional resistance, it is important to understand that this invisible force governs much of our experience, often without us even realizing it. It is the silent barrier between us and the life we desire. Emotional resistance is like an energetic blockade, holding us back from aligning with our higher selves, from experiencing true peace, and from manifesting the reality we dream of. But what exactly is emotional resistance, and why is it so prevalent in our lives? At its core, emotional resistance arises from the way we handle our emotions. As humans, we often perceive certain emotions as negative or undesirable: fear, sadness, anger, guilt, and anxiety. In our society, there is a heavy emphasis on being positive, on always presenting a strong and in-control version of ourselves. This can lead to a fundamental misunderstanding of the role emotions play in our lives. Instead of seeing them as natural signals from our inner selves, we treat them as something to avoid, suppress, or deny. We may believe that negative emotions make us weak, unworthy, or incapable of success, but the truth is that these emotions are simply signals, not indicators of our worth or capability. As children, many of us are conditioned to push aside our feelings. Maybe you were told not to cry when you were upset, or that anger was inappropriate. As we grow, we internalize these beliefs and carry them into adulthood, creating an ongoing cycle of emotional suppression. This cycle manifests as resistance, the unwillingness to fully experience, feel, or express our emotions. And the more we resist, the stronger the emotions grow, festering within us and causing even more inner conflict. What happens when we resist our emotions? Imagine a dam holding back a river. The dam may hold up for a while, but over time, the pressure will build. Eventually, something will give, and the river will break through. Emotional resistance works in the same way. When we suppress our feelings, we may think we have fixed the problem, but in reality, we are just delaying the inevitable. The emotional energy does not disappear. It gets trapped in our bodies, mind, and spirit, waiting for an opportunity to resurface. And when it does, it often manifests as stress, anxiety, illness, or unexpected emotional outbursts. The idea of pushing through or ignoring our emotions is rooted in fear. The fear that if we allow ourselves to feel, we will be overwhelmed, weak, or out of control. The ego, which is the part of our psyche responsible for self-preservation, is terrified of vulnerability. It tries to convince us that if we allow ourselves to feel deeply, we might lose ourselves in the process. The ego loves control, and it wants to keep us in a safe, familiar place, even if that place is filled with emotional numbness or unresolved pain. But the more we listen to the ego's demands for control, the more disconnected we become from our true essence. We start to live our lives from a place of fear rather than love, resistance instead of flow. This is where emotional resistance becomes particularly dangerous. It does not just prevent us from feeling our feelings, it also prevents us from growing. Every emotion we suppress, every feeling we refuse to face, creates an energetic block in our lives. These blocks show up as limiting beliefs, unhealthy relationships, stagnation in our careers, or a deep sense of dissatisfaction that we cannot quite explain. We may wonder why we are not achieving the success we desire, or why we cannot seem to manifest the changes we crave. The answer often lies in emotional resistance. When we resist our emotions, we are, in essence, resisting our own truth. Emotions are the language of the soul. They are our inner guidance system, helping us navigate life in alignment with our deepest desires and purpose. Each emotion, whether positive or negative, carries important information. Fear, for example, is often a signal that we are about to make a significant change, or that we are stepping out of our comfort zone. Anger can be a sign of injustice or a need to set boundaries. Sadness may point to a deeper longing for something more fulfilling in our lives. When we suppress or ignore these signals, we lose touch with what we truly need and desire. The problem with emotional resistance is not just that it keeps us stuck, it also keeps us disconnected from our ability to manifest. Manifestation is not simply about thinking positive thoughts or wishing for a new reality. It is about aligning our energy with the frequency of our desires. To do that, we must be in touch with our emotions, allowing them to guide us and shift our energy. If we are holding on to unresolved emotions or resisting certain feelings, our energy remains blocked. This misalignment prevents the flow of abundance, love, and joy into our lives. For example, imagine you are trying to manifest a new job or a romantic relationship, but deep down, you harbor feelings of unworthiness, fear of failure, or past hurt. Even if you visualize your desires every day and take inspired action, your internal resistance will create an energetic block. On a subconscious level, your fear or insecurity sends out a vibration that repels what you truly want. Until you address and release these emotional blocks, manifestation will feel like an uphill battle. The key to breaking through this resistance is self-awareness and self-compassion. We must first acknowledge the emotions we are resisting. This requires courage and honesty. It means being willing to look at the parts of ourselves that we may have buried or denied for years. It is not always easy to face the fear, sadness, or anger that we have spent so long running from. But by bringing these emotions to the surface, we begin the process of healing. When we allow ourselves to feel, we begin to clear away the blocks that have been holding us back. This is where the true power of emotional surrender comes in. Surrendering does not mean allowing ourselves to be overwhelmed by our emotions or letting them dictate our actions. It means allowing the emotions to exist without judgment, without trying to control them. It is an act of acceptance, of embracing the truth of what we are feeling without resistance. When we surrender, we stop trying to manipulate or deny our emotional experiences. Instead, we become present with them, feeling them fully, and letting them pass through us. This process is both liberating and transformative. As we release the need to control our emotions, we create space for new possibilities. Emotional surrender allows us to align with the natural flow of life, which is abundant, joyful, and free. When we stop resisting our feelings, we become more attuned to the energy of the universe, and we open ourselves up to receiving the gifts that are already available to us. In this way, emotional resistance becomes a cycle that keeps us stuck in old patterns. The more we resist, the more we create energetic blockages, which in turn keep us from experiencing the full range of our potential. To break free from this cycle, we must embrace the power of emotional surrender. This act of surrender is not about giving up. It is about letting go of the need to control, of releasing the grip of fear, and trusting that everything we need is already on its way. Emotional surrender requires us to trust in something greater than ourselves, whether that is the universe, our higher self, or a spiritual force. It means believing that there is a natural order to life, and that by letting go, we are aligning with that order. The more we surrender, the more we experience a sense of peace, knowing that we do not have to fight against our emotions, our desires, or our reality. Instead, we can flow with them, trusting that everything is unfolding as it should. And this is where the magic happens. When we release our resistance and surrender, we open ourselves to the full power of manifestation. We align with the frequency of our desires, and the universe responds by bringing them into our lives. This is not some distant, unattainable goal. It is available to us right now, in this moment. All it requires is the courage to let go, to stop resisting, and to trust in the process of life. Emotional surrender is not just a concept. It is a transformative process that has the power to unlock the deepest layers of our being. When we truly understand the essence of emotional surrender, we realize that it is not about giving up or resigning ourselves to a passive existence. It is, in fact, one of the most powerful acts of self-liberation we can undertake. The key to transformation is not found in holding on tightly to our desires or forcing our way into a new reality. It is found in the ability to let go, to release the grip of control, and to trust that the universe has something far greater in store for us. Imagine for a moment that you are holding onto a tightrope. The rope represents the weight of your fears, expectations, past wounds, and anxieties. You have spent so much of your life gripping it tightly, believing that it is the only thing keeping you from falling. Every step you take on that rope feels precarious. Every moment you hesitate, you fear that you might lose your balance. But what if you let go? What if you allowed yourself to simply fall, trusting that the universe would catch you? What if the very act of surrendering, of releasing that tight grip, would be the thing that sets you free? This is the essence of emotional surrender, the willingness to release control and allow life to unfold naturally. It is an act of deep trust, not in others, but in the process of life itself. It is about aligning with the natural flow of the universe, understanding that the things we desire are already on their way to us, but we must stop resisting and allow ourselves to receive them. It is not about forcing our desires into reality. It is about making room for them, letting go of the resistance that has been blocking their arrival. At its core, emotional surrender is an invitation to stop trying to control every aspect of our lives. When we are attached to certain outcomes, we create resistance. We tell ourselves that we must have things a certain way, at a certain time, or else we will fail. But this attachment to specific outcomes is often what keeps us stuck in a cycle of disappointment, frustration, and despair. The more tightly we cling to our desires, the more we actually push them away. The universe cannot bring us what we truly want when we are holding on to our fears and expectations with such intensity. Letting go of these attachments is the key to unlocking your manifestation power. When we surrender emotionally, we release the need to control how and when our desires will come to us. Instead of waiting for the perfect conditions, we begin to trust that the perfect conditions are already here, within us and all around us. Emotional surrender is about releasing the emotional and mental blocks that prevent us from experiencing the abundance and joy that is available in every moment. This process, though profoundly freeing, can also be intimidating. For many of us, the idea of surrendering evokes feelings of vulnerability and uncertainty. We fear that if we let go, we will lose everything, or that we will be left in a state of confusion, unsure of what to do next. But the truth is that surrender is not about losing control. It is about gaining a deeper sense of inner peace and alignment. When we surrender, we allow ourselves to step into a higher frequency of energy, one that is aligned with love, trust, and flow. This is where the magic happens. The key to emotional surrender is to recognize that surrendering is not about inaction. It is about alignment. It is the act of aligning your energy with the frequency of your desires. You see, manifestation is not about forcing things to happen or pushing against resistance. It is about becoming a vibrational match for what you want. And when we hold on to emotions like fear, doubt, and resentment, we lower our vibration, blocking the very things we wish to manifest. But when we let go of these emotions and allow ourselves to fully feel and release them, we open up the channels for higher vibrations to enter our lives. Emotional surrender creates space for this higher energy to flow through us. It opens us up to new possibilities, new experiences, and new ways of being. It is in this space of surrender that we begin to see the world differently. The tight grip we once had on our expectations loosens, and we start to trust in the unfolding of life. We begin to see the beauty in the present moment, knowing that everything we desire is already in motion, even if we cannot see it yet. We start to recognize that the universe is not something separate from us, but a reflection of our inner state. And when we shift our inner state from resistance to surrender, the universe mirrors that shift back to us. To practice emotional surrender, it is important to first become aware of the emotions that are blocking us. This awareness allows us to step back and observe our emotions without judgment. Instead of reacting to them or trying to suppress them, we begin to witness them with curiosity and compassion. We can ask ourselves, what is this emotion trying to teach me? What is it asking me to release? As we sit with our emotions in this way, we create the space for them to naturally dissipate. We stop fighting against them and allow them to flow through us, knowing that we do not have to hold on to them forever. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate emotional surrender is through meditation. Meditation allows us to quiet the mind and reconnect with the present moment. In the stillness of meditation, we can observe our thoughts and feelings without becoming attached to them. We begin to recognize that we are not our thoughts or emotions. We are the observer of them. As we create this space between ourselves and our emotional reactions, we can begin to surrender them to the universe, trusting that they will be transmuted into something more aligned with our highest good. Breathing exercises can also help facilitate emotional surrender. The simple act of breathing deeply and consciously allows us to calm the nervous system and release pent-up emotional tension. As we focus on our breath, we invite relaxation into our bodies and create the space for emotional release. Each exhale becomes an opportunity to let go, to release the resistance that we have been holding on to. In this space, we can begin to feel a deep sense of peace and trust, knowing that we are not alone in our journey. Another practice that can help with emotional surrender is journaling. Writing down our thoughts and feelings can provide an outlet for the emotions that we may be resisting. As we put our thoughts on paper, we can gain clarity and insight into what is really going on beneath the surface. Journaling allows us to express ourselves without judgment and to release the emotional energy that may be holding us back. This practice can also help us uncover limiting beliefs or unconscious fears that we may not even be aware of, allowing us to address them and let them go. Through emotional surrender, we begin to experience life in a new way. We stop reacting to every situation and instead start responding from a place of alignment. We trust that everything is unfolding for our highest good, and that by surrendering to the flow of life, we will be guided to exactly where we need to be. This is the power of emotional surrender. The ability to let go of control and trust in the process of life, knowing that the universe is always supporting us. The more we practice emotional surrender, the more we begin to see the results in our lives. We start to feel lighter, freer, and more in tune with our true desires. Our relationships become more harmonious, our careers more fulfilling, and our personal growth accelerates. The breakthrough we have been waiting for is no longer something we have to chase. It comes naturally as we align with the energy of surrender. So, the next time you find yourself resisting your emotions, remember that the key to unlocking your transformation lies in letting go. Surrender does not mean giving up. It means allowing yourself to be guided by something greater than yourself. Trust in the process, trust in the universe, and trust that the desires of your heart are already on their way. When you begin to release the grip of emotional resistance, something profound begins to happen. You align yourself with a new reality, a reality where possibilities are limitless and breakthroughs become inevitable. This shift does not happen overnight, but with every step you take toward emotional surrender, you create space for the most extraordinary changes to manifest in your life. The resistance that once held you back is now dissolving, and in its place, a new sense of clarity, peace, and alignment emerges. At first, the shift can feel subtle. Perhaps you notice that the little things in life, those that once felt like annoyances or obstacles, no longer trigger the same emotional reactions. You stop feeling as overwhelmed by the demands of life. You find that you can breathe more deeply, hold space for others, and respond with a sense of calm, rather than reactive tension. These subtle changes are signs that you are beginning to align with your higher self, and they are the first indications that a breakthrough is on the horizon. As you continue to surrender emotionally, you begin to notice that things in your life start to shift, perhaps in small ways at first. You might find that your relationships begin to feel more harmonious. The people around you seem to be responding differently to you, as if they sense the change within you.